Is the American dream now priced at $100,000? That's the big question shaking up families, workers, and immigrants in the US. And today we are cutting the noise. And we are inviting two very important attorneys on our show and discussing this very important topic, what this fee really means, who pays, and whether the dream is still worth chasing. And to break it all down, I am joined by top two immigration attorneys, Attorney Poonam Gupta from New York and Attorney Chand Parvataneni from Texas. Hi, attorneys. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rajni.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here. And Nipasa, I'd request you to please go ahead and read the disclaimer.
Sure, Rajni. And folks, thank you so much, each one of you, for joining us here on Immigration Talk Show. You can check us out. We are live right now on YouTube, and also check us out on LinkedIn and Facebook. And before we head on with today's discussion, there's this very important disclaimer to keep in mind. So by watching our videos, you understand that the information provided by our experts, experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. So I hope you keep that in mind, and do join us in conversation if you have any questions, especially, in today's discussion. $100,000 for an H-1B fee. It's crazy, and what it really means for Indians. Please share with us what you think. And absolutely, I think we should, without further ado, go on with today's discussion. Really happy to see you both, Chand and Poonam. Thank you for joining us today.
Happy to
Thank
be
you,
here.
Nipasa.
So my first question, I think ladies first. So let's go on to Poonam. In legal terms, what exactly does the new $100,000 H-1B fee mean? Is it rumor or reality?
So it is actually a reality. The president issued a proclamation and signed it into law on Friday, September 19th in the evening. And what it indicates is that effective this past Sunday, the 21st, anyone who is applying to enter the country in H-1B status must pay the $100,000 fee. There was a lot of confusion about whether people who were in transit or who were, unable to get to the US by Sunday would be subject to this fee or not. But from what we've seen over the last couple of days is that people who were already in H-1B status were not impacted, and various agencies have issued guidance on what that means. And everyone has consistently said that this only applies to new H-1B petitions filed after September 21st, and also to those individuals who are currently outside the US, not physically in the US. There's still a lot that is unclear, but in short, that is what the law is right now.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering the question, Poonam. John, I would like to come to you. Before we talk about the consequences of this decision, I would actually like to ask you that why do you think this administration took such a decision? Because this is the first time, something like this has been announced. And I'm pretty sure, everybody was shocked, not just immigrants living in the US, but the families of those immigrants living everywhere, because that's a very huge price to pay. And earlier it was, I think, from $2,000 to $5,000, and now it has been $100,000. So why do you think such a decision was taken? I'm so sorry, but I would like to extend my question a little bit, because the administration said that it was taken to save the American workers. So do you think that was really the reason, or what do you think the reason was?
Sure. So this news, when it first was broken by Bloomberg Friday afternoon, initially I thought probably it's a joke. Maybe it's just a rumor. That was Friday afternoon. And President Trump, he has just come back from a trip from London. He just came back from a London trip. And 2 hours down the line at 4 o'clock, around 4 o'clock CST, Central Time, we saw it on the TV. The president was signing the proclamation. So it kind of came in very, very quick. And when we saw the reasoning, I think the reasoning they gave was compared to these other majors. When we look at the computer science majors, the technology majors, they're seeing a lot more unemployment for the fresh graduates. They're almost seeing like 7%, 7 to 8% unemployment. And when they compare it with the other fields, this is a little bit higher. At least that was the reasoning that was given. And I think, unfortunately, what is happening is there's a lot of IT layoffs that have been happening in the last 1 year, maybe because of this AI shift. There are so many things happening, and they probably used some statistics, and they used that to argue that if we do something about the H1B program, maybe it will get the unemployment numbers a little bit better for the fresh graduates. And what I think is happening is, yes, there is a problem, because I am honestly seeing fresh graduates. It has become very challenging for them to find jobs. So there is a problem out there. Unfortunately, they use that as a reason to say that if we put $100,000 fee, it's going to fix that problem. I don't know how true it is, but unfortunately, there are two problems right now, which I see. Yes, the fresh graduates are in some challenging times with all this AI and all these things coming up and taking away jobs. At the same time, H1B is actually contributing to the innovation. It is actually creating jobs. So I think they're trying to solve a problem by creating a problem. So I think, again, when there is a problem, you take time, and you probably need some more time, which is why we have the APA, the rule making process, all these processes which have some time that needs to be spent, see what is going on, take some public comments. Normally, that's how things are done. And executive orders are used typically to direct federal agencies to do whatever the Congress intended. So normally, the Congress passes laws, and the president, he enforces the laws. So executive orders are not typically used for these kind of things, because sometimes the Congress is probably in a better off spot to pass laws, especially these kind of things. So I think this rule was passed in a hurry. I don't know whether it is right or wrong, because the justification they are giving, yes, it's a true problem, but I don't think this is the solution.
Okay, okay. Poonam, I would like to actually come to you and ask you that, like Chan said, that they are solving a problem by creating a problem. So, what do you think the consequences are going to be? Do you think it will actually solve a problem, or maybe create a ripple effect and, cause a big, big problem?
So it'll definitely have a huge ripple effect. It's not actually, I would not even call a ripple. I think it'll be a tsunami, frankly, because
It
it'll
looks like
be,
it.
I mean, it's not only going to impact the smaller H-1B employers, even the larger H-1B employers, the FANG group. Do you think the Googles and the Apple and the Meta and Amazons of this world, they are able to pay 100K per employee? They have thousands of employees on H-1B. They don't want to lose their bottom line. I mean, everyone's, focused on the bottom line. And this is not a fee that is sustainable for any company, big or small. In terms of unemployment numbers and so on, sure, the unemployment numbers are higher, but the percentage of US workers within the STEM fields is so, so small that I don't think it truly is impacting those individuals as much as it is impacting the fresh graduates, foreign graduates from schools. They are the ones that need sponsorship. And from what I'm seeing, employers are not sponsoring. There are, like, even for whether it's fresh graduates or long-term people who are here on H-1B for a long time. And layoffs is not impacting just US workers, they're impacting people on H-1B too. The number of people on H-1B that have been laid off since COVID has not dropped. It only keeps increasing. And AI, I think, has made the situation worse. This just adds another layer of uncertainty and another layer of complexity for companies to continue to do business in the United States. The bigger companies have the capacity and the ability to shift their resources in other countries. And I cannot, I'm not speaking for any specific company, but most companies, from a practical perspective, will have to look at options outside the US. The whole agenda of bringing manufacturing and bringing jobs to the US, I think this is actually going contrary to that. It's going to move jobs and talent, critical talent, outside the US.
Okay, wow. I think thank you so much for answering the question, Poonam. And I can see a lot of people, joined us, and they are also posting their questions on the comment section. So we'll be taking those questions in a bit. Before I think Nipasa has a few other questions that she would like to ask. So over to you, Nipasa.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I totally agree. It's going to be like a tsunami, and the impact is already being felt everywhere, and especially by, people, the newly grads, the new grads. So, the most expensive lottery, it's already being tagged as that. So I don't know what else can folks say, but it's very scary if you look at it. And we have seen fee hikes earlier, and this one is another huge one. So, to talk about it, who is going to be paying the fee? The employer, the worker, and can it legally be shifted onto employees also? Like, maybe we can ask Chand.
Sure, sure, sure. And actually, it's getting very expensive. And the news just broke out just a couple of hours back. It's a big alert. Department of Homeland Security is just about to publish a draft tomorrow, and this is regarding the H-1B lottery. And basically, what they are saying is, if you have wage level 4, you get 4 entries into the lottery. If you have wage level 3, you have 3 entries into the lottery. Wage level 2, 2 entries into the lottery. Wage level 1, 1 entry into the lottery, which means you'll not even get selected in the lottery. So this just came out earlier today, and it will be published tomorrow in the Federal Registrar. So there is already another thing that is already in progress. The whole lottery. I mean, even apart from the 100K fee that is about to come up for the next lottery, the whole process itself is changing, and the government has already started uh, the rulemaking process. So that's one part. And to answer your question, who is going to foot this bill? Who's going to pay the fee? And in the immigration world, for a H-1B, any fees concerning H-1B has to be paid by the employer. And the reason for that is we don't want employees to skew up the system or do something unfair. Employer is the one that is required to pay these fees, and not the employee. I think we'll have more clarity, because at this point of time, we don't even know how they will collect this fee. We don't even know the system that they're going to use to collect this fee. But eventually, when it's going to come, definitely it will be the employer who will have to foot the bill.
Okay, thank you so much for answering the question, Chan. Poonam, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with Chand. It is the employer's responsibility, and this is in compliance with the DOL requirements for wages, which is a critical aspect of H-1B. Any shifting of the burden to the employee can bring the employee's wages below the required wages on the LCA. So shifting this burden to the employees is going to impact the H-1B. So our guidance will be that the employers continue to pay this fee like every other H-1B fee.
Okay. Poonam, I have a question to that. There were the percentage of people applying for the H-1B was anyways lesser this time in comparison to the last time. So do you think in the year coming up, in the 2026, do you think lesser people, the percentage is going to be even lesser and less people are going to be applying for the H-1B now?
100%. If this 100,000 fee stays, and as of right now, what we are sure of is that it will apply to the upcoming H-1B lottery. If that is the case, the number of employers willing to even enter people into the lottery will be drastically less. I would be very surprised if the lottery is even met with that 100,000 fee, just because and maybe there are, but I would not expect 85,000 like slots, jobs with 100,000 fee. That employers would be willing to pay for.
That's true. That's true. Thank you so much again, Chand and Poonam. I have a question about the transfers, which I would like to take. But before that, Nipasa, if you can please go ahead by taking some of the viewers' question, which they are continuously posting on the comment section.
Sure. Yes, and really happy to have folks also join us. Most of them have posted their comments on YouTube. So I'm going to take the first one. This question was already there before we even went live. So this is from Advitya Gupta. Hi, if my H-1B starts from 1st October, can I enter USA on basis of my valid H-4 visa? If yes, what happens to my H-1B status in that case? And I have an appointment for H4 stamping. If H1B starts October, I think it's the same one, similar one. Will I need to book separate appointment for H1B stamping as well, or can I have my H1B and H4 visa stamping done in the same appointment?
Okay, so maybe Chand, would you like to take it?
Sure. So in this case, looks like this person has an H-1B approval, and looks like he's more than likely. I mean, I don't know whether he's talking about his own H-4, whether he's talking about him going for H-4 stamping, assuming his wife has a H-1B. If that is the case, no, he has to take one single appointment, and in the DS-160, he has to specify what exactly it is. So he can't just go in and ask for both H-1 and H-4. So he has to pick and file the DS-160 appropriately, and then go for that stamping. That being said, if he has a H-1B approval, but he decides to go for a H-4, yes, he can come to US, and eventually, if he wants to shift to H-1B by doing a change of status, he should be able to do it.
Okay. Thank you so much again, Chand, for answering the question. Poonam, would you like to add anything to that?
I think what we don't have clarity on is if this person enters in H4 status and then wants to change, and for the first time, change to H-1B status, whether the 100,000 fee will apply or not. We don't have clarity on that. So it is, if they apply at the consulate, then based on a plain reading of the proclamation, the 100,000 fee would apply. But if they apply for an H-4 and then come to the US and then apply for a change of status to H-1B, we don't know if the 100,000 fee will apply. What they cannot do, which is expressly prohibited in the proclamation, is enter the US in a B2, B1, or B2 status, and then apply to change for H-1B. That is definitely not permitted and will incur the 100,000 fee. Whether changing from another status other than a B1 or a B2 will incur that fee, we don't know.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Advitya, I hope you have got your answer. Thank you so much for your question. If you have any follow-ups coming, please keep them posting in the comment section, and we'll be more than happy to take them and ask them from the attorneys. Nipasa, would you like to take another question from the viewer?
Sure, yes. And I just want to request everyone out there who are watching us, wherever you're watching, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Our handle is @Immigration Talk Show. And check us out. We are not just on YouTube, but also on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and on Instagram as well. Stay connected with us. And let's take up Ricky's question. So, what kind of lawsuit are you expecting to be filed against this executive order? Is there a way to gain visibility on what's happening on the lawsuit front in real time? And there's another question, but we'll take that after this. So, let's hear it from Chand.
Sure. So, I mean, pretty much every lawsuit is public information. So, the minute the lawsuit gets filed, normally everybody should be able to kind of see what's going on. And that being said, in order for a lawsuit to be filed, we need to see harm. So, what exactly is the harm? Who is getting harmed? So, initially, I mean, on Friday when this proclamation came out, the initial reading of the proclamation was that starting from September 21st, anybody trying to enter the country is required to pay this $100,000 fee, which means anybody trying to enter would be delayed, and now there is harm. And I more than likely thought that lawsuits will be filed over the weekend if that is what was happening. And then what happened was, again, come Saturday, we saw a little bit of dilution on the rule. And it was not what we initially thought, because the government came back and gave clarifications. Again, they gave some ambiguous clarifications because initially we heard this tweet from the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, where she said this is only from next year's lottery.
Yeah.
Come evening, we again heard from CBP and USCIS in their memos that it is from September 21st. for new cases filed after September 21st. So there is a little bit of ambiguity on what exactly they mean by the word new. Is it new H1B cap as in next year, or is it any new H1B petition? Still a little bit of ambiguity, which is why there is so much of confusion, where 100% the answers are not there yet. But at this point, I mean, when there is harm, when there is demonstration that harm has occurred, at that point of time is when you can actually file the lawsuits. And I'm pretty positive that there are a lot of attorneys already working on lawsuits. And when that eventually happens, I mean, people are going to see it in the news because that is public information. And in terms of a lawsuit, what exactly is the argument? The argument is, does Congress have that power to impose the $100,000 fee, or can the president, through an executive order, impose that fee? That is pretty much the question, and that is where we are asking for judicial review. So the judicial review is the executive order valid or not? And that is where the courts can step in, and they can decide either way. If they decide that yes, the president has that power, the order will continue. If not, they will issue an injunction. That being said, recently there was a Supreme Court ruling where they made it a little bit difficult to do class action lawsuits. So a single federal court cannot give a nationwide injunction. So there are a little bit more additional restrictions now because of a recent Supreme Court ruling. So what that means is we have to wait and watch and see how these class actions will evolve. And getting a nationwide injunction is not as easy as it used to be 2 months back.
Thank you so much, John, for taking that up, really. And we do have a lot more. So I want to pick one which is with regard to our topic. So this is Shrey Garg. Can it be presumed that people who are in USA are applying for change of status are exempt from this $100,000 fees? And that's another thing, or another thing. Okay, so that's the thing she wants to know. So let's hear it from Poonam.
So as of right now, the guidance seems to be that anyone applying for a change of status from within the US could be exempt from this fee. But until it's tested, until someone files the change of status application and we get some yes or no from USCIS, we will not know. So every scenario currently, because the government is issuing, different agencies are issuing guidance that are nuanced and slightly different from each other and slightly different from what the proclamation actually says. Until we actually see it in action, we cannot say for sure what the answer is. So as of right now, it seems that it will be exempt, but until it's tested, cannot be sure.
Thank you,
Okay.
Poonam. Thank you for taking that up. Yes,
Yeah.
Rajni, over to you.
Thank you so much, Nipasa, and thank you so much, Chand and Poonam, for answering all the questions so patiently. And I'm sure our viewers must be continuously posting more and more questions and also their follow-ups. And we are definitely going to take them, but in a bit. And if you're liking this session, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to Immigration Talk Show, and also share this video with anybody who you think can benefit from all this information. So, Poonam, I would like to again come to you and ask you this. I mean, Chant has already said that there is some ambiguity to this, but still I would like to understand and ask you that does this fee apply to renewals, transfers, and re-entry stampings, or just brand new petitions?
As of right now, we believe that only applies to brand new petitions. It does not apply to transfers or changes from within the US. That's the USCIS memorandum that they issued. That's what they say. Even the White House FAQs that were issued recently talked about the same thing. But again, up until we actually get a filing in, somebody within the immigration community, from any of the immigration attorneys, until one of us files that petition and it's accepted by USCIS, we cannot be 100% sure. And the one great thing about the immigration bar is we share information freely. We are extremely supportive of one another. So once one of us knows, the rest of us, we will share with the other and let everyone know. And we want to help the immigrants. That's what we are in the business of. And as soon as we have clarity, we will share that. But as of today, as of right now, that clarity is lacking, unfortunately.
And to our viewers, I would like to say that Poonam and Chan, they are pretty vocal on their LinkedIn accounts. They post everything that comes up in the news about immigration. So make sure that you follow them on their LinkedIn too. So if you would like to share your LinkedIn accounts, your IDs, so that they can follow you.
Absolutely. Will do.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think let's just again jump back to the viewers, Nipasa.
Sure, we can do that. Yes. Since it's for Indians, let's take this up from Kritika. For Indians already stuck in the green card backlog, is this policy basically making the H-1B a dead end? Should we be looking at alternatives like Canada or EB5 instead? Chand, if you can help us with an answer.
Sure. I would definitely encourage people to look at EB5s, definitely, because I think in our law firm, I mean, we are seeing green cards anywhere between 6 to 8 months in the last, I mean, I'm talking about year 2025. So EB5s, again, if you're going under the right category, which is rural, that is like the best category, or maybe a TEA, these two categories are very good. But again, for all practical purposes, that is not a visa that is available on a very large scale. There are very, very limited numbers of EB5. EB5, we only have 10,000, out of which only 7% can come to India, which is probably around 700. So EB5 is not like a substantial number that is going to like bring down the numbers. So EB5 is an option out there, but I don't think that is like a great option that is available for a lot of numbers. The numbers are limited. And when we compare it with like other countries like Canada, UK, Australia, to me, I honestly think US is still the best country in the world. Still has a lot of opportunities. We are still the technology powerhouse, and these other countries don't even get close to US. Not only that, I mean, if you look at the rhetoric that's happening in Canada, UK has a lot of immigration protests. Australia, they're having a lot of immigration protests. So it's not like those are rosy options, in my opinion. And even Canada, we recently heard news of how they were like not issuing any student visas this year for Canada. So I don't even think that I mean, they are like comparable options to US. I think US still has a lot of technology, a lot of the economy and everything. I think is still very stable. The only thing is, yes, we are in the middle of a transition where they're changing rules too quickly, causing all this confusion. And H1B, this is attracting the global talent. And global talent typically likes certainty. They don't want uncertainty, which is where I think the whole problem is. So I think when rules are getting changed so quickly for no fault of theirs, sometimes the talent gets discouraged. I think, and that is where I think we are in a transition period, and hopefully I think we'll have more clarity, because I do want to see people, the global talent, come to US, contribute to US economy. But unfortunately, we are seeing so much of uncertainty, and I'm hoping that things will get more and more clear as we go along.
Absolutely, yes, Chanda. And very well said and very well put. I think the problem here is the uncertainty. We really don't know what is going to happen and whether we should now apply, which brings me to this question from Sonia, actually, who's saying, I have friends back in India preparing for the H-1B lottery. Should they even be bothering applying anymore, or this fee basically shutting the door on future talent? So, Poonam, would you like to help us with an answer, please?
Sure. As Chan said, US is still the top market for IT, the top market for talent. It is likely to remain at the top unless the rules drastically change. It may seem like the rules are drastically changing. Yes, it's in a flux, but at the end of the day, this administration is still a business focused administration. They still want US to grow, and they want US to maintain its tech supremacy. I'm hoping that with that lens, they will reconsider some of the policy objectives that they're putting out there. The top tech companies and other top businesses will prevail and will be able to get this administration to reconsider some of the anti business policies that are being put out there. And I don't think people should self-select themselves out of the running. They should absolutely assume that they will be able to get where they want to go if they want it. Will the new proclamation be struck down by the courts? We don't know. But we anticipate that there will be litigation. If anyone's interested in participating in litigation, please reach out to us. We can connect you to the attorneys who are at the forefront of the litigation. I don't do litigation. I don't have clients that are interested in litigating, but I know plenty of other attorneys that are. And as I said, we are a very small, close-knit community. We help each other. We help immigrants. So if you are considering being part of this litigation, let us know. We can connect you to the right attorneys who can put that. So that is one piece. Litigation can potentially put these seemingly anti-business initiatives at a stop. But even if it does, these rules do go forward. The reality is businesses that need that talent will find a way. So the March lottery, the H-1B lottery in March, it's still 6 months away. There is a lot that can happen in 6 months. In US immigration, things change not by weeks, not by months. They change by days and they change by hour. So it's too far. Don't self-select yourself out. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, then at least you tried. So that's all I would say.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Poonam, for taking this question up. For I think yes, and we do have a lot more questions and comments. We will take them up, but do not forget to subscribe to our channel, friends. Whatever changes come, whatever are the latest updates, we are going to bring them to you. So check us out. Our handle is at Immigration Talk Show, and hit that bell icon so that whenever we have discussions or the latest updates, especially on the H-1B fee hike, the $10,000 for H-1B fees, well, we are going to bring it to you. And yes, I think, Rajni, we should have more questions. Should we take from the audience, or do you have anything right now?
Yeah, so I have a question that I would like to ask from Chan. So Chan, I recently heard that even in India, a lot of visas are getting rejected at the consular interviews. So could this be because of the new policy that are being implemented every day, and because we are every day hearing and watching these news that this has happened, that has been implemented, and this fee hike has happened. So could it be because of that, or this is how it happens?
No, I think at least what I'm seeing on the H1B side, I mean, I'm not seeing anything drastically different from last year, other than we don't have Dropbox, so we have interviews. So people go for interviews,
Yeah.
and the thing is, again, it's not a direct denial. A lot of times, what happens is they get a 221G. It's a refusal. It is not a denial, but a refusal. And what that means is they need to do their vetting. They need to ensure the company is legitimate. Sometimes the job assignment is legitimate. So maybe we are seeing some delays, but I mean, in terms of the direct denials, I'm not seeing anything different from what I saw last year. Only thing is maybe the slowness. The slowness because now you have more people going for interviews than Dropbox. They have this additional social media vetting, so they have to spend some additional time. So on the H1B side, I mean, again, we are seeing a lot of people successfully get stamping. So I don't think anything drastic has happened on the H1B side in terms of stamping. The challenge is getting the dates is a big challenge because now they have to go for interviews. But other than that, at least on the H1B side, H4 side, I'm not really seeing anything where I would be that concerned at this point of time.
I've also heard this about, B1 interviews or B1, B2 or F1 interviews. So, Poonam, do you think these policies have something to do with the decisions that the consular officers are making at the, at the consulate interviews, or do you think, this is how it happens?
So every consular interview is based on a judgment by the consular officer at the interview. As Chan mentioned, the fact that the Dropbox option, the interview waiver option, was eliminated. Earlier, if you had a same visa in the last 4 years, you could benefit from the interview waiver. Now it has to be 1 year, which means effectively most people will not qualify. And if everyone has to go for an interview, then, and with the additional social media vetting, there is more and more pressure on the consular officers. They have a time limit, they have a set number of cases that they have to get through in a day. So if the person in front of them at the consular window cannot convince them within 30 seconds of why they should be given that visa is going to get denied. Because the consular officer does not have the time to listen to long-winded explanations for what you're going to do. The answers have to be crisp and quick and get it done so they can move on. If they can't find a reason to approve you in 30 seconds, you're getting denied. And that has not changed in all these years. It's always been that. It's just that the pressure is much more at the consular level, and that is just going to get impacted more and more with the social media vetting additional work that's put on their plate with limited time still.
Okay, so that means if the visas are getting rejected now, so it doesn't have anything to do with these policy changes which are happening.
There is some aspect of it to it, but I would say most of it is just how the person presents themselves at the interview rather than the policy impact. Because other than the social media vetting policy, from a consular interview perspective, not much else has changed. The Dropbox was eliminated, or the interview waiver was rescinded, and social media vetting was added. So combined, it adds to the work burden. But other than that, policies are changing on the US stateside level rather than on the consular side.
Okay. Thank you again, Poonam, for answering the question. Chand, I would like to come to you and ask you that, students who are already there in the US, who are on F1 or OPT, now, if they want to switch themselves to H1B, will this fee hit them too?
Sure. So again, my opinion is if somebody has already gone through the lottery in the past and they already have an approval in the past, so those, to me, those are not new cases because they don't have to go through the lottery again. And if you file for a change of status for those cases, my view is they don't have to pay the fees at this point of time, because on the face of the proclamation, when we read the proclamation, it is a travel restriction. When you enter the country, that is when you're supposed to pay the fee. You can only enter the country after paying the fee. So if somebody is in the country and you're filing for a change of status for a case that has already gone through the H-1B lottery in the past, my opinion is you do not have to pay the fees, at least as long as you are in US. When you go out of the country and you come back, I'm still waiting for some more guidance because some conflicting information that is coming out. And then the future cases, because again, in the month of March, April, when we have an H-1B lottery, and then these F1 students are filing for a change of status in April. My opinion is, again, when we go through the statements that have come through, the White House FAQ or Caroline Levitt's White House press secretary's tweet, they're talking about those cases getting impacted in general. So if you have a new case that is getting filed in April after the lottery, they will be impacted. But then when we look at the reading of the proclamation on the other hand says you have to enter the country to be slapped with this fee, 100K fee. So to me, it looks like those cases on the day of filing with USCIS, maybe you don't have to pay the fee. Only if you travel out of the country for visa stamping, that is when you become liable for that fee. That is how my understanding is. And the reason I cannot give a definitive answer is because there are still some conflicting parts in the way the government agencies have come back and explained, because they talk something about every new petition after September 21st. What exactly do you mean by new? And then you read the proclamation. The proclamation says a travel restriction. You come into US, so at the time of entering, seeking entry into United States, that is when you have to pay the fee. So I do feel that change of status cases may not have to pay the fee until you travel out and come back. That being said, definitely we need to wait to get more clarity. And in our law firm, we already filed some cases yesterday. So basically, somebody who already has an F1, they're filing for change of status. So I think in the next week, 10 days, we'll have more answers because the cases are in progress, and these are cases filed after September 21st. And I think, like Poonam said, I think we will, I mean, all the attorneys will have cases. So we will know more on what is happening with the cases filed after September 21st, because a lot of cases will be in premium, and we will see what is happening. At this point of time, the USCIS website, we have e-filing, and normally what happens is the USCIS website, they calculate the fee for the petition, and they will tell us this is the fee you have to pay based on the criteria, the employee count, and so on. At this point of time, the USCIS website for change of status cases, they are not really adding up the 100K fee. So at least on the USCIS website, they don't have a mechanism to take this fee at this point of time.
Right, right. Poonam, would you like to add anything to that?
I mean, this was as much of a surprise to all the government agencies as it was to the immigrants and the immigration attorneys. So and the government being the government, those systems take time. They have to develop the protocols to accept those fees and find mechanisms on where, when, how the fee will be collected. Up until those systems are developed and figured out, we will continue to remain in a limbo state of uncertainty. But once there is clarity from USCIS, from Department of State, from CBP, then we will know. But as of right now, whether USCIS will take the lead on collecting the fee, or the consulates will take the lead on collecting the fee, or for Canadians, the CBP will take the lead on collecting the fee, we don't know. We'll wait
Yes.
and watch. But as of right now, none of these agencies are equipped to calculate and collect this fee.
Okay. Thank you so much to both of you for such insightful answers. Thank you, Chand and Poonam. And Nipasa, I think, again, I can continuously see like the chats popping
Yes.
up because the viewers are really eagerly waiting for the attorneys to answer to their questions. So please go ahead and take the viewer's question.
Sure, I'm going to take Shrey's question first because she has been requesting, saying, please, please, please ask my main question. So
Yeah.
she's asking, will $100,000 fees apply on H-1B cap exempt like universities? Will it affect H-1B cap exempt or not? So she's been continuously asking that. So I think, Poonam, if you could answer that for us, please.
Um, I wish I had clarity on that myself. I do not have any H-1B cap exempt cases in the pipeline that I could test with, but I'm hoping someone else among the attorney community will have, and we will have clarity on that. There is no specific exemption for universities or H-1B cap exempt entities that we have heard of among all the different memos and FAQs and whatever that have been put out, but it should, but we don't know. We don't have clarity on that yet.
My view
Thank
is if it's a new H1B cap exempt petition being filed for the first time after September 21st, it should be applicable to them. If it is the first H1B, a new H1B filed after September 21st, and you have never been on H1B in the past, that is the key. The key is you have never been in the H1B in the past. It's the first time H1B. If it is cap exempt after September 21st, I think it is applicable at this point of time. At least reading the USCIS memo.
Thank you, Chance, for taking that up. And Shrey, I hope you're happy with the answers. And even if not, stay connected with us by subscribing to our channel. And we will bring you the latest updates as soon as they come to us. So subscribe. Our handle is at Immigration Talk Show. And we have Nishu Tiwari also asking questions, saying, does this rule unintentionally incentivize bypassing the H-1B system altogether? For companies hiring global talent, this fee adds a significant cost layer. Are we likely to see a shift toward remote hiring, L1 transfers, or even offshoring as a workaround? Chand, what would you like to say?
Sure. I had like somebody else ask me the same thing yesterday. I mean, our Indian company is going to start looking at L1 options. I don't know. I think companies will start looking at L1 option and I don't know how the government will react. But I think L1 is like one option that companies will definitely start exploring, uh, for sure. And remote hiring, I think, is another thing. I think definitely, because sometimes you have a need for, like for example, a very latest technology, and like all of a sudden we don't have the right talent here because it's just a recent technology. We don't have people to work on that technology, and I think the companies will be left with no choice but to get it done wherever they get it done. So if it means offshoring it to some other place because we don't have talent here and the H1B restrictions are making it so difficult to get the job done here, I don't see why not that job will get outsourced. Maybe it's to India, maybe it's to Mexico, maybe it's to Canada. We don't know. But again, that's definitely a possibility I'm so worried about, because end of the day, the technology is a very fast moving sector. I mean, sometimes they have to be on the top of their line before their competitors. They have to get things done, and they can't really waste time over the government bureaucracy if it's going to take too long with all the filings and so on. So to me, that is what I'm so worried about. That there is a possibility, because if things are so complex, companies are going to start looking at other options, which is offshoring. And I don't think it is just for India. It is probably they're looking at multiple countries to offshore to get things done.
Okay.
Right, Chan. Thank you so much.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry
Yes,
to
Rajni.
interrupt, Napasa. I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I have a question that I would like to ask to both of the attorneys, actually. So, Chan and Poonam, who do you think? I mean, because this is it's a very huge decision by the administration, by the government. So, who do you think this is majorly going to impact? I mean, Poonam, would you like
Um,
to, or Chan? Yeah.
Chan, go ahead.
sure. Now, I think it is going to hurt the US technology sector, because I think the H1B, I think it's like a small drop in the ocean. We have 85,000 H1Bs in the entire year. We are more than a 300 million country. We have a large workforce that's in millions. So 85,000, I think it is a small drop in the bucket. And again, these are highly specialized jobs. This is not like where people are doing generic jobs. They're very specialized. It is a specialty occupation. And I think whatever work they're contributing, for example, look at companies like OpenAI or Apple, Google, Meta. These are the number one companies in the entire world. I mean, it's not China that is dominating; it is US that is dominating. We are dominating. Nvidia, it's US. So, and when you look at what exactly these companies are doing, they are generating thousands and thousands of uh, employment. So, I mean, the thing is, I think when we have the right talent here, the global talent here to develop our systems, our technology, I think it is going to lead to creation of more jobs. So to me, I think, I think there are arguments on both sides. I mean, both sides have valid arguments, but I think this is a decision that is going to probably be hurting US economy in a longer term, because it is not going to impact the job market. It is going to help the job market, in my opinion. This H1B program was a well thought out program. It is not something that was put in a hurry. It went through Congress. I mean, multiple administrations have been through this H1B. And the president's own wife, Melanie Trump, she's been a recipient of this. I mean, she used this program. So we have seen so many talented individuals who have contributed so much to this country. Elon Musk and all these
Yeah.
highly successful people. So historically, I mean, Congress has put a lot of thought into this program. We are seeing the benefits of this program. I mean, so many companies being headed by people who were once on H1B, and there is not much empirical data to show that it is really hurting the US economy. So I think if that is really the case, I think they should take it slow and do some analysis, than make some quick decision that is going to hurt our business interests, and in the future hurt the local jobs uh, in a manner that we did not think it'll affect.
So, Poonam, I was also reading on Twitter and also on LinkedIn. People were posting that, the immigrants living in the US, they were saying that they now, they are now fed up, and they are now, they don't know what to do, where to go. So now what they feel is they want to come back home, wherever they belong. So they want to go back home. So are you also hearing such things from from your clients, maybe?
So this sentiment has been around even before this turmoil started, right? It's a very personal preference, very personal decision that people make. People have been going back to their home countries for a variety of reasons, personal, professional, whatever the case may be. And that has not changed. Yes, it has exasperated to some extent, it is heightened to some extent, but my philosophy has always been to stay calm and to actually think through. And I wish, as I said previously, I hope and I wish that the business interests in this country will prevail on this administration and make them realize that they are shooting the US business interests in the foot with hasty proclamations and hasty decisions. These are not decisions that impact just H-1B workers, they impact US workers way more than they do the H-1B. I mean, the H-1B workers, worst case scenario, they go back home.
Yeah.
But the jobs that they leave behind, the impact to the US economy that they leave behind, the taxes that they take with them, the additional jobs that they create that they take back with them is a ripple effect or a tsunami effect, depending on how big the change is. This change potentially has that impact of really derailing a lot of the progress that has been made in the last 3, 4 decades through the H-1B program. It is not something that should be, it's in effect, akin to dismantling the program somewhat, which is not a vision that I think they, or a side effect that they anticipated. And I expect that they will backtrack. And there has been backtracking, frankly, if you look at it, uh, between the issuance of the proclamation and the issuance of the guidance from various agencies, they have backtracked considerably. And my hope is that they will backtrack even more. And if there are issues with the H-1B program, if there are additional protections that need to be put for the US workers, I don't think any business is opposed to that. Everyone wants to do business legally. Everyone wants to support the growth of the US economy, because when the US economy grows, everyone grows with it. When US talent and US companies are at the technological forefront, everyone benefits. By hitting at the very core of these specialized workers, that is what is getting impacted here. And my hope is that there will be a walking back of this, whether it is forced through litigation or whether it is through advocacy and lobbying or whatever it may be. But my sense is that there will be a much more restrictive interpretation to this proclamation going forward.
Okay. Okay. Thank you again for your answers. And Napasa, again, over to you. Please take the viewer's question.
Yes, I mean, coming to talking about, I mean, hasty, yes, but what if it was planned? They already knew they're going to drop this bomb like on the 21st of September, and well, shocking everyone, of course. And we have seen a lot of changes happening. And this could be one of those, I mean, plans where they want to slow down the whole process for visas, basically for international students, workers to come into the US. Any comment you want to make on this, Chand?
Sure. And again, if you look at the proclamation, I think there's more to the proclamation. They're also talking about changing the prevailing wages. There is going to be a rulemaking process that is about to start to completely update the wages. And just recently in July, the wages got updated, so the wages are pretty high. I mean, I think the message out there is the H1B employees are paid a very less wage, and that is not true. If anybody looks at the salaries that these companies are offering, the average salary, not even talking about the highest salary, the average salary for a H1B worker is in six figures. So this H1B program is not something that anybody is using to save on money. Because if that is true, these people will be paid very less salary. The averages are going to be very less. And the entire data, the wage data is out there. It's public information. And if you look at the data, the average salary is, I mean, more than $100,000. The average H1B programs wage data. But unfortunately, the message out there is probably these a lot of these employees are being paid very less. Is the kind of a message. So one of the things in the proclamation was that DOL has to go through a rule making process to update the prevailing wages. So it is going to make, if the prevailing wages are at a level where it is not really reflecting the true practical needs or really what's out there in the industry, this program will collapse. So I think that's another thing that I think we'll have to wait and see what exactly they mean by the rule making process for updating the prevailing wages, because I'm a little bit worried about that part too, because if it is not really reflecting the real the real life scenario, I think that is going to impact the H1B program too. uh, that's one part. And then even the H1B lottery, the rule that the draft proposal that just came out this morning about the way they will do the H1B lottery, a lot of talented people, they come out of good schools like MIT, Stanford, many good schools, but they're fresh out of college. And when they're fresh out of college, they cannot be expected to be given a salary that is wage level 4. But these are guys that will do a lot of wonders in the future, but they don't really have that experience, but they're coming out of top notch schools. So when they skew this H1B lottery to a wage weighted system, we might lose out a lot of talented individuals who don't have the experience yet, but they have a very high quality education and they're freshly entering into this market, into the industry. So a lot of things to wait and watch, and we don't know. But I mean, there's a lot of confusion, and I think that uncertainty is what a lot of people don't like. And we're hoping that things are more and more clear and things don't change this rapidly.
I have
Yes,
two
Ashna.
quick comments on this. One is they did try this prevailing wage, a fiasco. I'll call it a fiasco for now. Back in October of 2020, where the prevailing wages for every occupation were at level 4, and within 1 week they had to revert back to the original one because they were forced to. It did not work in the past. Whether it'll work this time because they've put a little bit more thought remains to be seen, but it is not an absolute that it will happen. The second is um, Elon Musk was a fresher at some point. He built what he's built from nothing. And those are the kinds of entrepreneurs that this kind of weighted H1B rule will stifle the most. In effect,
Yes.
self-sponsored H1B that went into effect earlier this year will be dead. So the entrepreneurial spirit that drives innovation in the United States and keeps the US at the top of the technological spectrum will be impacted negatively with this. So we hope that better heads prevail and more thought is put into this.
Absolutely.
100%. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Poonam, for your points as well. And quickly, I think we are nearing the end, but would like to take a couple more comments, questions rather, from our folks and viewers watching us right now. This one is from Swapna asking, how about the course applications and also consular applicants? Chand, if you have anything to say about this.
Sure. And if you look at the proclamation, they're talking about seeking entry into the United States, which means consular applications. When it's a change of status, you're in the country doing a change of status. I think the consular applicants are the ones that will be having to look at this $100,000 fee. That being said, I think they're very clear that anybody that has gotten approval or their case is filed before September 21st are not impacted. It's only for the new cases filed in the future. So any cases filed in the future, especially the new H1B lottery into the future, those, if those are consular processing applications, those are the ones that I think at this point of time will be hit with this $100,000 fee.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well, I think we we should wrap up soon, but let's take one last question. And Poonam, if you can answer this for Snigdha. How many days or months will it take for any 221G approval? Can I please get to know? And will it affect the person who got H1B petition approved in 2025 in India and interview is not done yet or delayed?
So how long a 221G gets resolved is very specific to that individual. No one other than the Department of State has insight into that. Attorneys definitely don't have those insights because the reason for a 221G can be varied. It can be any number of reasons, and the government does not share as to the reason for the 221G administrative processing. As for whether someone who has an H1 approved and whether they will be able to get the H1B visa without the fee, based on the information that has been shared by different agencies, it seems that they will not be subject to the fee. And it may be because Department of State does not have the mechanism to collect this fee yet. What happens down the road in a few days, weeks, months will remain to be seen. But I would recommend, if you are able to schedule your H1B appointment sooner than later, please do that now while it's still possible to get those without the 100,000 fee, and move that along. But once those mechanisms are in place, then it is possible that the consulate may require the payment of that 100,000 fee for every H-1B.
Well, thank you so much, Poonam, for taking that up. And Snigdha, I hope you've gotten your answer. Thank you so much for participating. I would say, why not contact attorney Poonam Gupta yourself and maybe get more answers if you have more questions, you need more clarifications. Check her out on LinkedIn as well. And Poonam, it was lovely having you. I know you've got to leave, so really, it's a big thank you from Team Immigration Talk Show. It was lovely having you on our show, and I hope to see you catch up with us again very soon.
Likewise. Thank you all for having me. Thank you, Chan. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Poonam.
Thank you, Poonam. So yes, and Chanda, well, we do have more questions, and so happy that you are a sport and you can stay with us a little longer. And I think we should pick up another question. Let's take.
Nipasa, how about we take Ricky's question? So
Yeah.
Ricky says, I think this is something related to what Chand has answered. So Chand, what Ricky says is, what is considered as a new petition under this executive order? Will the 100K fee also apply for H-1B amendments with the same employer due to change in designation, etc.?
Sure. And I mean, when they use the word new, that is where they got a lot of ambiguity into this picture, which is why a lot of attorneys, I think it's still kind of, kind of not able to answer things 100% certainty. But again, in terms of H1B, so I'll tell you what is clearly, sure for now, that we know that will not require the 100K fee. If it is an H1B amendment with the same employer, it is treated as a renewal of your status. It's treated as an extension of your status. So if you're doing an amendment, extensions, transfers within US, and you're already on H1B at this point of time, and the key is you're already in US, this 100K fee should not be applicable to you, at least as far as the memo is concerned, because you're already in H1B. So one of the things with new, the word new, does new mean that it's a new H1B lottery, or does the word new mean you're checking the word new in I-129? That is where there's a little bit of ambiguity. Or is it every new petition that is getting filed after September 21st? And that word is not clearly defined. And I think what has happened is, Friday we had one version. Saturday, because I think there's a lot of pushback, the government came back and kind of gave some explanation. They kind of backtracked. And again, on Sunday, when we saw this White House FAQ, again, things were not a little bit clear, because what exactly the word new after September 21st means, there is a little bit of uncertainty. But at this point of time, one thing we are sure is, if somebody is already in US, you already have an H1B filed before September 21st, you're trying to do an amendment, future amendment, a transfer, or an extension while you're staying in United States, those cases should not require the 100K fee, at least as far as the guidance we have so far. So I would assume that you don't have to pay this 100K fee right now. And for the future cases, the first time H1B cases that are getting filed in the future after September 21st, if somebody is out of the country, I would assume that you would have to pay this fee because you're out of the country. And this is a travel restriction. The proclamation clearly says that seeking entry into United States, they have to pay this fee. Okay. So for your question, if it's an amendment, there should not be this fee.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, yeah. Nipasa, would you like to take another question? Because I think there's one more question that has been posted by Ricky. And he says, what precautions should one take for the travel and at the consulate for first time H1B stamping in India under these new rules?
Sure. Again, so they're clearly saying that these new rules are applicable to petitions filed after September 21st. So if you are traveling for stamping in India, I'm very positive that your case was already filed. More than likely, it is already approved. So clearly, your case was filed before September 21st. And even the CBP memo and the USCIS memo, they're clearly saying this is only for petitions after September 21st. So at this point of time, I would assume that for stamping, you should not have any problem because your case was filed pre September 21st. And again, this week we're already seeing a lot of people go for stamping, and we're not seeing any challenges as far as this 100K rule is concerned at this point of time. Because their cases were filed before September 21st. And unless we have some additional guidance or a change coming out of the government, I would assume that you don't have to worry about this 100K fee. All the rest of the rules will stay the same. So there will be vetting. They want to make sure your company is legitimate. They want to make sure you have a proper assignment. So those things will not change. But this 100K fee should not be a factor in your case for stamping.
Thank you, Chan, for taking that. And I think we should pick up Rahul's comment questions as well. Rahul is saying this new 100K dollar fee disproportionately impacts Indian nationals who form the backbone of the US tech workforce. From a legal standpoint, could this be interpreted as economic discrimination? And are there precedents where such nationality skewed policies were successfully challenged in the court?
I mean, if this case goes to the court, I don't think it will be based on the discrimination aspect, because I don't even think there is a cause of action. It will be more on whether the president has this power to impose this fee or not. That is where the question is. And the judiciary, so the judicial review, the courts, so their whole analysis would be, is that this 100K, the fee, the imposition of this fee, is it something that the president has a right, or is it something that Congress has to do? Is it the powers of the Congress taken over by the president or not? That would be the question. So if the court decides no, this has to go through the Congress, they will say this executive order is not valid. But if the courts decide that yes, the president has that power, then the executive order will go forwards. And again, if you see like a recent example, the birthright citizenship order, President
Yeah.
Trump has signed the order. He said yes, this is what it is. But the courts stepped in and said no, that is not the power of the president. It is the power of the Congress or somebody else. Okay, so if this is challenged in court, it is more about, does the president have this power or not, or is it the power of the Congress? That is the question for the judiciary, and that is what they will make a determination if it does go to the court. And I really think that this will go to the court at some point of time. How quickly, I don't know.
Thank you, Chan. Yeah.
So, Vipasa, did we cover all the questions of the viewers?
Most of them, I mean, not all, because Ricky had a lot of them popping in, but we took some of the major ones from Ricky. We've taken up from most of our viewers. I think, yes, we have covered. But I had like a simple question, which is our topic of discussion for today, actually, Chan. This 100K dollar H1B fee, what it means for Indians. If you have anything for our Indian viewers out there.
Again, I think the 100K fee, I mean, it is a huge burden for a lot of companies, which means the companies are definitely going to get discouraged from hiring H1Bs. I mean, that will definitely be the impact of this fee if it goes through. Now, the whole thing is, I think, even the government, I mean, from what happened on Friday versus Saturday, it looks like the government also started backtracking. Because the initial version was a little bit different and Saturday's version was a little bit different. So I think the goal of the government obviously is to do things that are good for the country. So I don't think they will do something if it is bad for the country, which is why advocacy is very important. Advocacy, which is already happening. So advocacy as in companies trying to explain their position, why it would hurt the country, why it would hurt the economy, the business, and so on. And I think that is what is happening. I mean, right now, I think they're looking at both the sides, because clearly there is data to show that there is a little bit more unemployment than what it used to be in these IT sectors. At the same time, is this the solution to solve the problem? We don't know. So I think there are arguments on both sides, and I think advocacy sometimes solves problems, which is why I do feel that the government might backtrack on this, or the courts might step in. So at this point of time, it looks like the immediate impact would be in the next lottery. So the next lottery is in March. So we're at least 6 months away from the H1B lottery. That is when I think we will see the real impact, because they're clearly saying that anybody that is currently on H1B, they should not be impacted. So to me, I think at least there is some buffer time where the government can go rethink their decision, or at least see the impact. and I'm very positive that the government will not do anything if it is going to hurt the economy. So, but I do think that this was a decision taken in a hurry. So there are a couple of months, and I think next few months will give us more clarity. But if this does get implemented, I think it is definitely bad for. I mean, a lot of talented people who want to come to US and have a career.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. This is something that I wanted to ask you at the end, also, Chan. That do you think that there is a possibility, because the current administration, they have, in their team itself, they have a lot of people from different countries. Whether if we, I can call them immigrant, some of them are Indian Americans, some of them are African
Yeah.
Americans. Because if I talk about Elon Musk, he's an immigrant, right? Vivek Ramaswamy, he's an
Yes.
immigrant. And then Cash Patel, he's an immigrant. Tulsi Gabbard, all of them, the team itself, the administration itself as a whole is the team of immigrants. So I think there is some hope that they might think about
Yeah.
this decision and take it back, right?
I mean, you forgot President Trump's spouse,
Right.
Melania Trump. She's an immigrant too. Yeah, and I think I mean, honestly, when we look at the president's statements, he never talked bad about H-1B. Like at least President Trump, maybe his advisors did, but not President Trump. He always talked good about this program, even recently. But I think the thing is, I think they want to reform this program. There are some challenges. I mean, there is definitely some H-1B fraud where some companies defraud the system. But I think they're mixing up everything. I think they're talking about some bad. I mean, there are some consultancies that are bad that are messing it up for everybody. There is some
Yeah.
bad, but rather than like resolving the bad that's in the system, I think they're trying to target this entire H-1B program. And as the businesses start putting more pressure and advocacy and show why it is hurting the country, I think we will see a different version come out of the government. And I think there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of chaos right now. But I think the dust will settle down in the next couple of weeks, and I think even government will start giving more clarity. I don't think the H-1B program is going to go anywhere, because there is a lot of data to show the success of this program for the country. So I think it is just a little bit of patience. Right now there is a lot of confusion, but things will be clearer in the future. The next couple of, I think in the next couple of weeks, I think we'll have better answers.
Okay. Okay. I hope so too. Okay. Nipasa, do you have any other question left?
No, I think that's a good note to actually end this whole discussion. And thank you so much, Chand. Really, I mean, Chand and also Poonam, who had to leave a little early, but really great points to keep in mind. And it's too early to feel or decide on anything. So let's wait, watch, and let's take a seat back, and let things settle down maybe. So that we have better
Yeah.
clarity and better answers as well. But until then, of course, folks out there, I would suggest and encourage you to keep on commenting whatever questions you have in mind, or any comments that you feel about this new change that is happening. And yeah, and there we have another question from one of our viewers, which we should take up before we leave, I think. So, Chand, would
Sure,
you like
sure.
to answer?
Sure. I think this person is talking about a visa refusal and will it affect approval or denial. I mean, the way I see it is the government clearly explained and said this is only for petitions filed after September 21st, new petitions filed after September 21st. So if his visa got a refusal, that means it's in the background check, and this is a case that has been filed before September 21st. So this 100K rule should not impact the visa approval or denial. Maybe other things like the background checks about your company, checks about your project, checks about your background. So that is what will impact whether your case gets approved or denied, but not this 100K rule. This 100K rule should not impact your case.
Guys, if you have any more questions, I understand, because Chand also has to leave. So I understand you guys have a lot of questions. So if you do, we have another show coming up at 4 o'clock. So you can join that session and you can post all other questions that you have in that show. Immigration attorney Nandini Nair is soon going to join up at 4 o'clock. So please stay tuned and join that show and continue posting your questions in that comment section.
Yes, for sure. And thank you so much, Chance, for joining us today. You have a wonderful day ahead, and I hope to see you again soon with more things to discuss and very important points to keep in mind for folks out there watching us here on Immigration Talk Show. Thank you again.
Thank you, Nipasa.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Rajni.
Thank you.
All right, friends. Thank you so much, each one of you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Our handle is at Immigration Talk Show. Check us out on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and on Instagram. And as Rajni has said, stay tuned on our on our channel at Immigration Talk Show, because we have another show lined up, and was going to be hosted by Sam. And thank you so much, each one of you, for joining us today. But keep commenting. Like I said, I'm sure you have a lot of questions, so keep commenting.
Please keep doing that, and don't forget to share this video with anyone who you think can be benefiting by this information, and make sure to like this video and also subscribe to Immigration Talk Show, not just on YouTube but on all the platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter and Facebook as well. For now, we'll have to take your leave because Sam is going to come up very soon at 4 o'clock. So you guys keep waiting for Sam, and we are going to take a leave. So thank you so much for joining us today. Take care. And like I said, keep sharing and keep subscribing to Immigration Talk Show. Bye, Nipasa.
Bye, Rajni. Bye, everyone. Thank you.